Hey, welcome to another episode of Electrical Theology, Esoteric Life Coaching. I am your host, Charles, and it's my mission to help people to open up their hearts, to be able to receive information, be able to download or be able to establish communications with the people in front of you or be them on another plane or realm or dimension. And as well as be able to interpret that information and how can it apply and integrate into your life to where then you can serve other people. Now, I've been doing about 80, 85, 90 videos on the prerequisites of understanding that I'm using tarot and other stuff to bring through the information. But again, the tarot is just being able to hone in or focus in your frequency, your unique frequency, right? There's no other frequency like yours on this planet but yours, just like your fingerprint and so forth. And being able to hone in on your own frequency by understanding and opening up to yourself and being able then to communicate with yourself lovingly, right? Acceptingly. I don't know if acceptingly is a word, but we're using it, right? We can make it up. Right? I sound like Bob Ross, make it up. Now, some of y'all may have noticed that there's something different today, right? It's a new deck that we're bringing into the fold. We've been doing 2 decks to keep it simple. Now we're going to bring in a 3rd deck. And yes, I got my hair cut for those who have never joined us today. It used to be long down to my shoulders, and it was time to cut it. So some of y'all, if you need to make a comment if you like it or don't, that's okay. It's a lot easier to maintain. The long hair is fine, but it starts getting in the way after a while. But I appreciate y'all joining me. If you are new to this, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and all that stuff. And what we do every day here is do readings. And on Mondays, we like to do divine readings. And divines is die and vine. It's just a form of communication, two-way communication, die. And that's us. And today is specifically honed in on the higher frequencies. Now, higher doesn't mean better or worse. It just means that they have a broader perspective. So some realms that we contact or communicate with are on the panoptic. They have a big picture of everything that's going on. It doesn't mean they know everything, but they still have an idea of what's going on better than you and I. And then we have sort of the synoptic group that's sort of in the middle. These are angels or the 9 realms of angels. You have higher angels, the archangels, and the cherubims and that stuff in mythology and folklore. And then you have the 3 in the middle, so you have 3, 3, and 3. And we use the 9s here, especially in readings and some of the back classes that I've taught here. Click on the links that I have below and then be able to go and take some of my courses that I'm beginning to load up over there. And today will probably be an extended video as well, so we'll get into reading some of these cards from the Divines and what their message is, specifically for Earth and what's going on globally. And we can hear also some of their information about what's coming in or what will be coming in. Sometimes they bring us to actual events or dates or times. And if you open up with your own intuition, then your intuition will sort of discern if their information is in alignment with what you're picking up on the earth. And again, just because we're communicating with something outside of the earth realm, if you will, doesn't mean that their information is right or wrong. Right? It's just their version of it, their perception. Just because someone does have a bigger perception still doesn't mean that they know it all. But what they are going to do is do their best to bring through what we can understand in the panoptic perspective of what's going on, right? So we can just take their information, and that's all I'm doing today is just conveying that information to you and being able to interpret it. And I have had classes where I show you how to interpret some of this information. You can go back and look at some of those videos. But enough said, let's go ahead and get started. So we are introducing a 3rd deck, and we have more decks that I'm not going to show you yet, because they have to have a purpose. Or the Divine may like a certain deck, or I may like a certain deck that day, and I'm just going to go with that. And so basically, we're just going to take this new deck, and then basically just take 3 cards from it to give us sort of an overall spiritual, our emotional, and then our physical, what's going on there. So we can see emotionally what's the collective thinking, right? The whole world, there's a one world frequency, call it Schumann resonance, call it whatever, which is there are fluctuations. We just came out, or we just had the Venus come into Libra into the moon, and then we had the, I think it was Saturn, just went direct on the 22nd as well. We're coming into Mars is coming in, and then we also have I think it's a partial lunar eclipse on the 25th, I think it is. So a lot of energy, right? And a lot of y'all may be feeling this energy. So part of this reading is just bringing in some of the information and seeing if that can help with what's going on. All right. So because Venus is in Libra, right, and we do have Venus in the actual sky at night, the brightest star right now. So that means for a lot of y'all, there's a lot of love coming in, which is great. And loving yourselves, and it's just not necessarily other people. We do have envy, right? We'll get into that. Some of y'all, you want more because you think you have less, or even if you have enough, you still want more. If you have 10 rolls of toilet paper or 10 boxes or cases of toilet paper, and you think you still need more because other people have it and you don't, we'll get into that though. But that's what we're going to look at as envy. And then as well, we have anxiety. Right? So a lot of y'all, because of this energy, may put your on pins and needles, or what feels like anxiety, or your legs are shaking, or you're nervous twitching right now, or you can't, or you can't sleep. Right? So we'll get into these, but basically what I'm seeing is that on the romantic side, we'll just touch on this, and then we'll spread out the rest of the cards in the reading and see what we get. So we'll look at these cards. We do have a 33, a 20, and an 18 are the numbers. We'll see if those are relevant to the reading. But I am seeing sort of this romance opening up for a lot of y'all. Some of y'all may have not been in the market for a while, or it's time to get back out there and look for love again. Now's the perfect time. There's somebody that's coming, but part of what has to be dealt with is dealing with the envy of what other people have. Just because you have, if you look at this card, the lady, if you look, she has a lot of cool stuff. She's got some coins, she's got her own house, but she's looking across the yard and saying, that house, that castle is bigger than mine. I want something more, even though she has a lot. So some of y'all, you do have a lot, but you're focused on what you don't have instead of what you do have, all right? So let's go bring out the rest of the cards. And a lot of us have been a lot of people still have anxiety because they were, let's put it in a polite way, they had some downtime a couple years ago, and the downtime sort of made them recluse, and now we're having to come back out. So romance, getting out there and seeing what else is out there, is some people are resistant to going back out there and intermingling, but it's very important for you right now to get out and intermingle and exchange energy, right? So let's see what we have. We got judgment outside, which means you're not expressing your own unique self. We got the Fool as well, coming in upside down or reversed. We can see there's again, it's time for you to come out and do something, but you're not doing it yet. And then the Emperor. So those are three major arcana that just came out, right? Which means we need to pay close attention. Those come out fast. When you see those, it's important. Right, it needs to be dealt with ASAP. Minor cards that come out, we have a little time, if you will. Right, it's giving us some preparation time. But because I got Judgment, the Fool, and the Emperor all in reverse, it means that you're not taking a dominant step, to be your own self, and then be able to promote yourself or be yourself uniquely. Right. So let's go ahead and just do a basic. We're going to do a 9-card reading since we're in the 9s today. Again, we got the Lovers coming in upside down. So some of y'all are resistant to getting back out there. Right? The Chariot's upside down. King of Cups. Looks like we have a whole reading almost all upside down today, guys. that means there's a lot of resistance, and that's that anxiety card we talked about. Right? Those bars behind her look like she's in prison, right? Which I talked about earlier, is that because we were sort of imprisoned. Not really, because you could have still gone out in your car. I did every day. Nothing. I was never locked down. I still ran my businesses. Still went out there and had classes and stuff. Because there's a group of people who don't subscribe all the time to what people say. Just like I told you earlier, just because the divines are giving us information doesn't mean it's to be believed or disbelieved or right or wrong. And just because a group of body says this or that doesn't mean I'm going to buy into their story either, be it here on earth. And again, that's just my perspective, right? And so to come out, a lot of y'all have been mentally imprisoned and are afraid to come out, right? Because you're still sitting in front of that TV maybe 24 hours and buying into what they're selling, right? And I know that sounds negative in one sense or pessimistic, but it's not. If you're in front of something and it repeats over and over and over, what do you really think is going to happen to your brain? How do you think your brain doesn't know any different if you keep showing it the same thing. If you keep thinking the same thing, then that's where the anxiety comes in. And then you're stuck in your loop and you're afraid to make a move, right? The Fool card. The Fool card is to come back out, right? He should be on their journey. Right, happy, ready to go out there. They're new, right? So I am seeing that there's a new pathway, a new job, a new movement, right? So I'm seeing the Emperor, and the Emperor is all about discipline. But again, the Emperor is upside down, or the Father card, right? And that's dominant, discipline, taking action, right? So, but let's get in here because we do get that Romance card. And then right underneath that, we get the Lover's card. But the Lover's card is reverse, which means it's telling me in the past, right? And we'll say 2 years ago. We'll just put it that way. Around 2 years ago, around the same time everything sort of gave you the opportunity to really go in and do some inner reflection, which I think is a great opportunity, right? I don't look at the shutdowns as a negative thing. I think the world needed it. I think they needed a time out. So for me, it was an awesome time. Right? It even helped me sort of make harder decisions that I was resisting to make, and then that was what I've told you before, that I shut down all my businesses because it was no longer serving me. Even though it served community, it wasn't serving me. And other people hopefully have taken up the torch and gone out there and continued what I did. And part of Three of Pentacles is that, and again, this is still in the past, right? This whole side that I'm doing here is past. And so in the recent past, we'll say about a year or so, is that you've been trying to, because of the alteration to our financial systems, that you're having to look for different ways of creating cash flow. Right? It may have helped you understand and say, hey, you know what, I was in this job that got shut down or whatever, or you had a business and you couldn't work because the certain power said you couldn't. A lot of people went on the internet. So what I'm seeing here recently is that you're looking at something that you can do differently that may not be affected by another shutdown. Right? Now, they can always shut down the internet, and there's all that, but we're not going to get into that. We do want to keep readings optimistic. And so from the other side, they're saying that they're beginning to see that you are thinking about creating new stuff because the new energy that's coming in is a higher frequency. Right? It's opening and saying, hey, you want to tap into this higher frequency? And if so, we'll give you some more. And that card is about making more money. Well, not dollars, because dollars go down in value, but making more cash flow, right? And working less, right? But there's imbalance still. Right? And this is, we'll say, up to last week, 2 hours from now, or 2 hours ago. Right? The Chariot's all about balance, but again, it's reverse. All right, so there's imbalance in your life right now, and in this past is focused on the relationship. The energies want us to get out there and, if you will, bring more brightness to love. Right? Once you understand this downtime, it's helped you understand yourself, and hopefully you've done your work to love yourself, to open up, to forgive yourself if that's what you need to do. Whatever that is for you, to give yourself time. Right? Instead of jumping from one thing to another and one person to another, is take time for yourself and what is it that you want, right? So let's look here in the present. Now this is going to be in the present moment, right? And in the middle, it's sort of a deep focus. We really want to look at this card because all the other cards are sort of a Fibonacci around them, right? If you don't know what I mean, Fibonacci is 1.618 and so on and so forth. And it's like the next row is exactly 1.618 of the next. So it's the golden mean. It's how the universe is shaped, if you will, galaxies and whatnot. And so under the romance card, it's telling us to get back out there, right? Start loving one another. It can be intimate partners, or it can just be friends and families, you know, because there were families divided because some got some medicine and others didn't. And the ones who got the medicine didn't want those who didn't, right? Which separated a lot of loved ones from their grandparents, from their grandkids, right? I'm not here to judge any of that. It's just that what this is telling me, the divine is telling me, get back out there and amplify electricity because the earth is going through a shift and it needs some extra energy from us as well. Does that make sense? So now in the middle realm here we have the envy card, and we talked about the envy card briefly about you have what you have, honor and appreciate what you have, because the more you can appreciate it, even if you're lacking in the money right now in that system, that's okay, it's coming, right? But the way it comes faster is by being able to open up and not envying what other people have, right? You like to watch a lot of these shows on TV where they're showing the millionaire, $20 million house, $50 million house, whatever, right? Or people who have 3 or 4 houses. You watch travel shows and people got these brilliant, beautiful houses on top of the mountain, right? And you envy that. Now that's okay to go, wow, that's awesome, but not to bring any negative tone to that and go, man, stupid rich people, right? Now that's envy in one sense because you want what they have and you're telling yourself that you can't have that either. And for what reason you want it, that's up to you. But we've had the King of Cups. And again, the King of Cups is reversed. Right? So that means the King of Cups is in control of its emotions. Right? But here, because it's reversed, they're not in control of their emotions. Right? And it may be because they love someone and that is in a relationship with someone else. Again, envy, they want what someone else has. Right? Instead of focusing on what they have or what they may need to, which is loving themselves. Right? They may be reaching out and wanting something else because they don't have it within. So be it a person, place, or thing that you are envious of. Why are you envious? Because you have the same capability of having it that's within you. Right? You just have to do the work. Right? And right underneath that is the Queen of Wands, also reversed. Right? The Queen is in charge of her emotions as well. And the Queen of Wands is about creation, right? She loves to create, but there's not any creation. Why? It's because you're focused on someone else's life, someone else's lover, someone else's business, someone else's house, right? And that's going on right now. This is the past, this is the present, and this is sort of our deep focus right now, is right here. And that's what we got to focus on, is being able to nurture our creation, right? What is it you want out of this life? Right? The divines want us to start using this new electricity. It's like the web, the internet when it first came out, right? Companies wanted you to build on their platforms, right? People were resistant, but now everyone in the world pretty much uses internet. 75% of the world, I think, is the percentage I heard, uses internet. So the divines have brought in consciousness, we'll call it 3.0, right? And they're trying to develop you 3.0 to match that frequency, right? You've had your iterations of you, right? When you were young, and then as you experienced some things, and then you had heartache, right? Or your heart was shut down, or you said it was wounded, right? Or lost, whatever this may be, and you're resistant to come out and do it again because you're still focused on what was. Again, you're envious of your past. Does that make sense? You're envious because you want what you had. You can't have what you had anymore. You got to bring it into the present moment, not be envious, right? But to open your heart once again, right? The old saying is that your heart has to be broken because you had it closed, and once it breaks, it's open. That makes sense? So what's happening literally in the mindset of the divines as they're seeing it is that the world's changing, right? And again, this is upside down, but your world, you're resisting changing. Why? All right? So we got to look at why you're resistant to change. Why? Because the heart was broken and you don't want to repeat the same pattern, which means you're envious of the past, you want what was, right? But you're not focused on what you want now. What do you want to unfold in the present moment? Are you ready for that new relationship? Have you done your work? Have you adapted to this new frequency that's coming in? All right? Now, if you want to see what's coming into the future, I'll give you a quick reading. And again, there's anxiety around this about your future, right? Depression is about the past, right? And anxiety is about the future. Anxiety is about you don't know what's coming, and therefore you're anxious, right? But just like Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate where there's presents, right? Because you get this present and you know it's coming, right? You don't know what it is. And then when you get it, right? But you're not, in one sense, you're not a negative anxious, you're an excitement anxious, anticipation, anticipatory. Right? But what we're seeing here is that the King of Pentacles is that you're worrying about money in the future. And then, but I do see that in the future you are opening up, right? There's still some phases and energy that has to happen with this new platform. There's download from what the divines are saying are here, and it's still being built, and they want more people to get on there. Bitcoin, blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, these are all using the new 3.0 energy. It's a new railway to transmit energy or information back and forth or money in a more secure, more affordable way, and more freedom. And then finally here we have the Ten of Cups, which is a great card. Right? It's family, unit, everything that you want is fulfilled, but guess what? This card is reversed. Right? So what do we have to do about this in the future going forward? Right? How do we eliminate this anxiety? How do we deal with the envy? And how do we open up to this romance that's saying it's here, especially with Venus and Libra and all that stuff? We'll do this further in the extended video, and we'll keep going. So if you want to, just click the link below, and I'll see you over there. Thanks.